Let's try it. I think you might be right. I think you are bankrupt. I think you know that. Am I going to be able to find it? Because I find it all the time. No, what I see here instead is I sat next to Mrs. Bangladesh and her 6.5-year old little boy who never left her side. You know what that tells me? Even Barbara knows. It's securities fraud. Yeah, literally. I'm trying to look for Camp David and that most unfortunate event where they had to boot Barbara because George was testing out scenarios connected to what he was anticipating getting away with in Iraq. And it fell on his first lady. Did he anticipate that? Well, I mean, he'd set up all those deals on Ronnie. Nobody talks about this, but I'm going to talk about it now because I'm very interested. You know, as soon as Ronald Reagan got shot and sent to the hospital, something happened to Nancy. It's reflected in her biography. I've already commented on it before. I'm going to comment on it again. Nancy went into this mode. She knew. She was a Leo. And she knew that somebody was attempting to tarnish Ronnie's legacy. And she began organizing. It says in her biography, one of the first things she did is called in Henry Kissinger and began discussing how she understood the matters to be. They came up with a plan, including some sort of schedule. Now, in retrospect, I think that Kissinger was working with Bush. I think that George and Henry were working together and that they strategically attempted to put Ronnie in a position where he could be used for future black ops. I honestly don't think Ronald Reagan approved of what they did, but I think George and Henry did. And I think the whole understanding was they were going to put series of liens on the office of the president using medical billings that were going to be set up connected to Ronald Reagan. Did they want him to die? They may well have. But I think they wanted to test scenarios that may not directly result in the actual death of Ronald Reagan. Would they be able to control him? Well, then all of a sudden, what happened to the First Lady? Did they remove something or vacate something or evacuate something from Ronnie? And in the course of doing that, Nancy got wind of it and she went to Henry directly and said, "No, Henry, this is what we're going to do." And so Henry indulged her and they came up with a plan. And in the course of that plan, what ended up happening then? Well, as soon as Ronnie got out of the hospital, Nancy was, "Ronnie, this is what we've got to do. This is how we have to deal with Russia. This is how we have to deal with the Soviet Union." Well, then other things came up, right? Nobody's really talked about what Iran Contra may have had to do with the attempted assassination of Ronald Reagan from that perspective. I think the evidence is in what happened to Barbara when George was trying to invade, when they set up the situation in Kuwait, and then they moved forward on what they did after that. It also brings up the questions of what assets were they using? I love my wife. Yeah, it could have been a different kind of tragedy. Now we're in the situation we're in now. And I bring this up because what's the first thing Barbara's showing me? Mrs. Bangladesh. Having to do with the Bastille Day parade. I sat with the spouses. Barbara. As much as I probably would have loathed her in life, in death, I've got quite a relationship with Barbara. See, when they murdered Barbara, I was very concerned about what they were doing to the girls, her granddaughters. Somebody really, 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 really wanted their distribution. They really did. Did they get it? Did they think that maybe they would try to create a patsy? Am I supposed to be the patsy? I'm sure you have all the ID documents you need on her, too. You know her father was fucking Sicilian. You know that? Makes a fucking difference. Especially right fucking now. Where is my closeout report on my request for an investigation by Bank of America concerning the terrorist attack in Bangladesh in July of 2016? And every other fucking report I am owed since then. Thank you so much, Barbara. Thank you so much, First Lady.